Tuesday. My name is Rebecca Wildenhain, Marketing Director for Read Speaker. Before turning it over to your host, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. Our presentation today will last about 30 minutes, and that will include a Q&A session at the end. Your microphones will remain muted throughout the webinar. However, questions can be submitted through the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Today's webinar will be recorded, and you will receive a copy of the presentation following the webinar. Now I'd like to introduce you to our host for today's TextAid Tuesday, Ginger Dewey. Ginger helps Read Speaker clients get the most use out of their suite of learning tools. With over 35 years as an educator in both K-12 and higher ed, Ginger is an advocate for accessibility and UDL. Over to you, Ginger.
Thank you, Rebecca, for such a kind introduction. Welcome to TextAid Tuesdays, everyone. And before we get into today's session, I want to first give you an idea of what is TextAid. When you look at the screenshot we have here on the desk, we see that we have all kinds of listening tools, new text, libraries, download to MP3. We have some tools, which are a reading ruler and a screen masks. We can annotate, we can highlight, and we've got all kinds of settings. And we're going to be talking about all these different things over this whole series, but I just wanted to give you an overview of what is TextAid. Today, what we're going to do is talk about how we can make TextAid fit you. The settings that we set up are personal, and we're going to talk about how to stream your lessons so that you can listen to them as you're going along, or you can download them and take them with you. And we're going to look at ways we can help our distracted readers. Now, with our settings, you can adjust your reading speed. Now, you maybe haven't noticed, but I have a Southern accent, and I am from the South, and I listen in Southern mode, which means I don't like to listen at 100%. I listen at a little bit slower. But recently, I was in a meeting with a visually impaired gentleman, and he let us listen to what a screen reader sounds like. And I couldn't catch a single word that was being said because it was so fast. But if you're accustomed to listening to a screen reader, you're going to want one of our faster speeds. Our text settings, you can choose the color for the background, the text size, the font, the spacing. We have our highlighting settings, which allow you to choose what color you want for the word, the sentence, and the text. And then in our document reading, we have a real cool tool that allows us to flip the page while the article is being read. So when it gets to the end of page 1, you don't have to go up there and click to page 2. It'll just automatically click it and keep going. You recognize these tools? Now, as Rebecca said, I've taught for many, many years, and these were some of the tools we used when I first started teaching. And the one on the left is a page mask or a screen mask, and you'll notice it has a window cut out, and you can somewhat see the writing behind it. And the student would just pull this window down as they're going along. This one on the right is a reading ruler. It's basically a note card that you pull down the page as you're going along. Do your students look like these? This gentleman, he's wearing his headphones, he's reading a computer. We see that quite often. We also have an iPod that's in a student's pocket, and they're listening to things on the go. What we really want them to do is say, aha, and give way to their potential. Now, this is TextAid, and the first thing I need is to have a document. So I'm going to go in my library. And it does take a little bit when we're inside a meeting to access some of the tools. And I have a folder down here called Webinar. And I'm going to open this document right here, 5 Essential 21st Century Tools. Now, this is from the K-12 News Lessons and Shared Resources by Teachers and for Teachers. It's teacherhub.com. However, the information that is in this article does not apply just to K-12. When we look at these teaching strategies, we see we have to be able to teach all of our learners, implement technology, foster student relationships, forward thinking, and embrace change. That carries across the board, whether you are teaching kindergarten or you're teaching doctoral students. All of that is important. Now, our first objective for today was to look at how we can make TextAid work for us. So let's look at our settings. With our voice settings, as I told you before, I like mine a little bit less than 100%, but we could speed it all the way up to 160% or down as slow as 40%. And you can test this by hitting play at the different speeds so you can get it to the speed you like. You can also select the English that your document is in. Our next settings is our text settings. And our text settings allow us to choose what color will be our text, what will be our background, the size of our font, what font face we want to use, and the line spacing. Now with the font face, you can see this one's Arial, Comic Sans, Courier, Helvetica, and this one is Open Dyslexic, and then we have Times New Roman. But I want to talk about the Open Dyslexic font for a little bit. You'll notice down here I have a sample of it, and you'll see that it is bolder at the bottom of the letters, and typically a student who is dyslexic is going to put space between the lines. This allows them to read the information better. So if you've got a dyslexic student, make certain you point them to the Open Dyslexic and let them choose the line spacing that works best for them, but they'll probably want to use this font. I'm going to change mine back to Arial. Our highlighting settings allow us to choose what color we want for the word, for the sentence, and for the text. The default is light blue for the word, light green for the sentence, and black for the text. But we could change this around. We could also choose underlines or to not have any highlighting going on in the reading. When we're in the library, we also get to choose some information about our document reading. We can choose it to be read by the mouse region or from the pointer to the end of the page. And this is that really cool setting about letting it flip the page for us. Otherwise, at the end of page 1, when we got to the end of this page, I would have to click on the next page for it to be read. If I set it to yes right here, when it gets to the end of page 1, it loads page 2 and keeps right on reading. Now, let's talk about how we stream. I can click listen, and this would start up here at the very top because all of this is tagged material. It's going to start up here and start reading all of that. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to just select some. And because it takes a little bit of time with buffering, I'm only going to select a little bit. Now notice that when I selected, I had a little listen button that popped up there. I can click listen here.
The ability to not only learn about.
Pay attention to where my mouse is on the left. It's on play. I'm going to let it play a word, and when I click play, it's going to change over to pause.
The new
now,
educational
that's play. So I can alternate between playing and pausing. If I'm tired of listening to it completely, I can click stop. Notice that my word is in blue and my sentence is in green. And I'm going to click stop. Now, if I want to go down here, I'm going to use listen from my pop-up button this time. It works exactly the same way. Notice it's gone to pause because I've told it to listen. and I can
efficiently
alternate between it.
implement
And when
and
it gets
incorporate.
completely done, notice that the stop is now grayed out and it's ready to listen again. This is how we can stream it and listen. We can pick out the parts we want, or we can have it read from the top to the bottom. Both are good ways to listen. But sometimes we don't have time to sit down and listen right then. So what we want to do is be able to download that information and listen to it while we're cooking supper or walking the dog or exercising or something like that. So what we can do is we can click on download as MP3. Now you have to agree that you're going to use this only for your personal use. You're not going to sell it to anyone or anything like that. Okay. Let's try that again. All right. I will have to send in a help message because typically what happens right here is it comes up as save this document and you save it as an MP3. Once it is saved, then what you do is you go back and move that MP3 setting over to the device you want to listen to it on. So let's get this back up here. Now, let me get my document reloaded. Our distracted readers. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get distracted when I'm reading. I look at a picture and I get involved at looking at what's in the picture instead of what I'm supposed to be reading. Well, up here at the top, we have layout mode and we have text mode. Layout mode is how the picture on the document looks, and we see all the writing, the indentations and everything. But when we click on the button right beside it that says text mode, what happens is all of that stripped away. You'll see that it's left justified, and we can now read the document without those distractions. Sometimes we need a little bit more help, and we have two tools. One of them is called the screen mask, and we also call this a page mask, and it's customizable. You see it has the bright window. This is like when you cut out the hole in the paper and you slid it up and down the page. You can make it larger or you can make it smaller. Now, when you cut out the hole in the sheet of paper, remember you can only make that larger, but here we allow you to make it even smaller down to where it is just one line if you want to get it that small. And it scrolls up and down the page. You can see what's outside that window, but you don't tend to notice it. You tend to notice that bright window. When you're done with it, you click on the X. Our next tool is the reading ruler. And the reading ruler is like the note card that we use. And that helps me when I get to the right-hand side of the page. If I'm on a large screen like I am right now, what happens is I get to the right and I forget to go down the line. So especially if I'm reading something technical, that this really helps me go to the correct line, and then the sentences make sense. And I can increase it or decrease it as large as or small as I want it here. And I can click the X when I'm done with it. Rebecca, do we have any questions?
We do, Ginger. One of the questions, yes, one of the questions that we just received was, which students benefit the most from TextAid?
All students do. TextAid is designed not just for students who have a disability, but for all students. Today, we were talking primarily about distracted readers. Now, distracted readers typically do not self-identify with disability services. So those would be students that disability services would not be working with, yet they benefit. Parents who are on the go, they can download their information and take it with them on their iPod, their iPhone, however they want to listen to it. Then you've got the ability to stream the lesson. you have auditory learners, and it's somewhere around 25–30% of our learners are auditory learners, and they want to hear the information. A lot of that comes from the fact that gaming is so popular with our youth that they have become better listeners than they have readers because they're listening to the information within the game. So you've got all of this going on, yet these are not students that would typically be in disability services. And what we talk about next week, well, week after next, is going to be about the research paper. And this could be even the best students that you have can benefit from the items that we talk about then. So TextAid is not just for the students that have a disability, even though it helps them a great deal. It's for all students.
Great, thank you. We have another question around,
Okay.
Can students download any kind of content to an MP3, as well as do you need to select the text first in order to save as an MP3?
Download to MP3, you do not have to select the text first. You just download to the, click on the download to MP3 button right here and agree that it's for personal use. It cannot be for outside use. And typically this works. As I said, I'll have to submit a help desk ticket here in just a moment. But the big thing is, if it is in your library, you can download it to MP3. Now, you're not going to have all your textbooks there, so you're not going to be downloading all your textbooks because the memory size for your library is not that large. But any documents that you put up in your library, you can download to MP3 for your personal use.
Great, thank you. We have one other question. Where is that
Okay.
setting again for the different page views? Can you show that again?
Okay, up here at the very top to the right of your page numbers, you have two buttons. The left button is layout mode, and that's how your document normally looks. And the right button is text mode, which strips away all the pictures and gives you basically a plain text look to the document. It's a toggle. You have to choose one or the other, and they're to the immediate right of the page numbers. Any other questions?
That's it for right now.
Okay. I want to invite everybody to attend our next two TextAid Tuesdays right after Thanksgiving on the 27th. We will be talking about writing research papers and using TextAid to help our students there. And then December 11th, right before our winter holidays, we'll be talking about how you take notes and increase your vocabulary. And if you have trouble typing, we've got some things that will really help you out. Again, my name is Ginger Dewey. My email is ginger.dewey@readspeaker.com. And if you have questions that didn't get answered today, please email me and I'll be glad to answer them. And if you would like to investigate a Sandbox account to learn more about TextAid, please contact our business development for e-learning, who is Mr. Paul Stisser, and that's paul.stisser@readspeaker.com. I hope to see everybody back in 2 weeks, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.